Welcome. This is part 59 of my honest read of my heart release about God of the Alls. I'm J.C. Worthington. This part 59 was released to me. I know lots of times I've said written, and it was written. It was also vocally spoken at the same time while I was releasing it. And almost all of it was video recorded while I was releasing it. And I'm sure at some point I'll be releasing those video recordings of my original release of this this whole heart release about God of the Alls. It's an honest read, it's an honest release. It just means that there basically are no rewrites in this release, or virtually no rewrites. Sometimes I'll add just one word, or and usually it's like an end or something like that. On a very rare occasion, I'll add a whole phrase, or excuse me, a whole phrase part, and you'll see that written on the side. But anyway, they're all just, you can, on this page, there's only one thing that I crossed out, and most of the things that I cross out that you see on my pages were done while I was releasing it. So anyway, this part was first released to me on March 25th at about 4:53 in the afternoon. And this is going on to the everything of control. No, excuse me, this is the everything of manipulation. As always, we'll do a little review and a little bit of forward. I do recommend that you listen to this from the very beginning all the way through to the end, all these videos, because it is one sentence, this whole release. Although, because freedom is so important within me, within my physics, within the all of humanity, and within the all that is God, that is life itself, I recommend that you freely choose to do what you freely choose to do. The everything maintains control by adding honesty, such as more controls than are needed to maintain human life itself are falsely claimed to be honestly needed controls of the all that is absolute freedom within whole pure truth, only and without any controls. Come on. Let me just read the last part of that. That's very important. The all that is absolute freedom within whole pure truth, only and without any controls. The everything maintains control by adding life itself, such as the everything adds many more dogma controls than the all of absolute freedom must always remain. Let me read that whole one again because it is very important, and there's been has been and could be a lot of confusion. For historic pure truths, they were released as they needed to be according to human evolution and conscious enlightenment at the times they were released, according to the true prophets of their time. The everything maintains control by adding life itself, such as the everything adds more dogma controls than the all of absolute freedom must always remain. The everything maintains, and we're starting 59, the everything maintains manipulation by adding freedom, such as the everything's manipulation added into the excuse me, let me start again. The everything maintains manipulation by adding freedom, such as the everything's manipulation added into the all's freedom manipulates freedom into the illusion of freedom within the everything's manipulations. The everything adds manipulation by adding pure truth, such as the everything's manipulations of illusion are added to freedom's pure truth. The everything maintains manipulation by adding health, such as using false claims of health in dogma and control as manipulation to make human beings and humanity less free within the everything's dogma and controls. Let me repeat the important part of that last part. To make human beings and humanity less free within the everything's dogma and controls. Come on. The everything maintains manipulation by adding strength, such as business persons adding the everything's manipulations into financial and banking systems to strengthen their personal earnings at the expense of human beings and humanity as a whole. The everything maintains manipulation by adding help, such as human beings in political power offering or giving or receiving help that in any way manipulates political power. Okay, muscles tell me I should reread this one for its importance and for the problems ongoing. The everything of the problems ongoing. Back to this, excuse me. The everything maintains manipulation by adding help, such as human beings in political power offering or giving or receiving help that in any way manipulates political power. The everything maintains manipulation by adding pleasure, such as the temporary pleasure of pharmaceuticals are within the pharmaceutical industry claimed to be the all of health within only the everything's manipulations, as some medications may provide therapeutic pleasure. But pharmacy companies do not get rich on therapeutic pleasure alone. The everything maintains manipulation by adding independence building, such as when educational systems or organizations, let me start that again and put an and instead of or. Back to this. The everything maintains manipulation by adding independence building, such as when educational systems and organizations use the everything's manipulations to control and curb independence building so as to meet the needs of the inadequately funded educational system or organization, by adding manipulations that serve not the individual student's personal independence building and education. Okay, I'm repeating that one for importance and because we're lacking and because it creates such strength and health within humanity. Education does. True education. Excuse me, back to this. The everything maintains manipulation by adding independence building, such as when educational systems and organizations use the everything's manipulations to control and curb independence building so as to meet the needs of the inadequately funded educational system or organization, by adding manipulations that serve not the individual student's personal independence building and education. The everything maintains manipulation by adding honesty, such as when human beings and humanity add honest, pure truths into manipulative falsehoods to manipulate human beings and humanity. The everything maintains manipulation by adding life itself, such as when human beings and humanity take life itself so as to manipulate human beings and humanity. Okay, this starts part 60, going a little bit forward before we conclude. The everything maintains death itself by adding freedom, such as the adding of the false illusion of 50 virgins in one's next life being possible. When a human being freely chooses to suicide bomb or otherwise suicide kill other human beings, is again a false illusion, unless we are talking about the possibility of 50 bug, worm, cockroach, or fly virgins becoming freely possible over many bug, worm, cockroach, or fly lives that all are allowed to end in the burning stomach acid belly of the beast that just ate the former human suicide killer. The messenger goes on. Back to this. The everything maintains death itself by adding pure truth, such as death itself within pure truth brings next life as a still conjoined soul and spirit and non-macroscopic existence within the bliss of the all of freedom is possible as freely chosen for human beings and humanity that maintaining, as defined within this heart release about God of the alls, but within absolute and whole pure truth, human beings and humanity that follow the everything's historic dogma that was allowed to be freely included into the all's historic pure truth. Freely choose next life within this life only. Okay, I'm just reading just the last part of this. Freely choose next life within this life only. The everything maintains death itself by adding health, such as human beings and humanity, adding in healthy, pure truth about life after death into the everything's illusion of the everything's dogma of heaven and hell being other than as defined within this heart release about God of the alls. Okay, I didn't finish the end of that phrase part, so let me reread and go on. Just show you this part. And I guess I'll show you what I'm going to go on to. The everything maintains death itself by adding health, such as by human beings and humanity, adding in healthy, pure truth about life after death into the everything's illusion, into the everything's illusion of heaven and hell being other than as defined within this heart release about God of the alls, to include only non-macroscopic heavenly existence and absolutely no hell or devil or Satan or demons or Beelzebub or an underworld other than the everything as only the everything has defined within this heart release about God of the alls. Okay, for importance, I must read it again. Not just should or whatever, but must. Back to this. The everything maintains death itself by adding health, such as by human beings and humanity, adding in healthy, pure truth about life after death into the everything's illusion of heaven and hell being other than as defined within this heart release about God of the alls, to include only non-macroscopic heavenly existence and absolutely no actual hell or devil or Satan or demons or Beelzebub or an underworld. Other than the everything as only the everything as defined within this heart release about God of the Alls. Come on. Come on. Please, please, come on. Please. Please. Okay, and that did conclude part 59. Blessings, I do recommend that you test me on it. Test yourself on it. Test the all on it. And I recommend freedom, maintaining, within us all, for us all, as us all, being us all, within the blessings of the all of freedom, maintaining, always more, forevermore.